So you know the drill by now. There's a new Godzilla film out this week. I'm hyped, popping boners all over the place, so let's get to it and count down my favorite versions of the eponymous radioactive god of destruction.
Godzilla!
Now, the only things that apply to this list will revolve around the original character of Godzilla from any era, Showa, Millenium, and anime. I'm not counting the 1998 film because that thing was trademarked and renamed as Zilla, and Space Godzilla or Mecha Godzilla need not apply. Those are different things. Sorry boys, stay in your damn lanes. And lastly, this is my personal list. Doesn't mean I'm shitting on other forms people may like. This is just for fun. I know this should be common logic by now, but I feel top 10 lists still need to have this type of disclaimer, so consider yourselves disclaimed.
A happy moment.
The Showa Era. This is casting a wide, kaiju-sized net here, I know, as the Showa Era consists of like 8 or 9 or 10 different Godzillas spanning 2 different decades, but I'm lumping them all together, you can't stop me. So let's do a test. If you were to close your eyes and think about the silliest looking Godzilla and then trap him within your mind prison, you're probably thinking of this one. Now, after you've opened up your eyes, try blurring them, and you'll swear that you'll be looking at the cookie goddamn monster. When I think of this Goji, I think of a crazy party animal that just never stops doing goofy shit to try and get himself over. Honestly though, aesthetically, this dude is a fucking steaming hot mess. His dorsal fins are not that impressive, they're always flopping around, it's so embarrassing. His general gait and posture are just not intimidating, and his face is that. I know this is the era where they were trying to market Godzilla to Japanese school children to try to lure them over from the Gamera camp. It didn't work. Godzilla 1954. I would like to put the original 1954 Kill Boss higher up on this list, but when you actually look at the design, maybe because you see it so infrequently, it just feels a little off. I don't know how else to describe it. Now, I won't lie, his stance and silhouette are definitely more intimidating than Seth Rogen over here, so there's that. However, his face and general head structure actually don't feel all that Godzilla-y to me for some reason. I also find the fact that in the first film, it's, well, shot in black and white, and this lessens this Godzilla's visual impact. I know that's not fair, but that's the way it is. 54 Goji just kinda gets lost in the shuffle when stacked up against all the other versions, and I feel bad bagging on this design. I mean, it totally works in the film that it was designed to be in. In my head though, I can visualize him just being scarier, but upon closer inspection, he's just lacking something. Still though, he's a goddamn legend, and we wouldn't be here without this OG and his very, very, very large penis. Godzilla 1985, 84, Return of Godzilla 80, so whatever you want to call this guy, he was the first new version of Toho's radioactive stud since the Showa Era died a death several years prior. Unlike the 54 version, I think this guy is still a scary one, if not a bit awkward. This is because a lot of the shots on Return of Godzilla 84 to 85 were done via an animatronic puppet that was stiff as all hell, but still undeniably dope, especially to a 10-year-old Matthew. This Goji has an angry scowl. Seems like his brow is doing most of the work here, and his mouth is a misery to my eyes. This is definitely going to be high up on the list if I ever do a top 10 best Godzilla mouths video. Now, after all the clowning around during the 60s and 70s, it was nice to see Godzilla return to being a curmudgeon-y old bastard that just wanted to punish mankind for its sins, and this was a great design in which to do so. Its usage, however, in only one film lessens his impact, but the new technological advances in suit and animatronics give this guy his own unique 80s flair. Godzilla Earth. While I think the anime trilogy was a time vampire, the design for Goji here certainly wasn't. Now, it did take a little bit for me to warm up to this plant-like version of my boy, and I have to say, looking back on him now, I just think he's neat. So yeah, we're not even gonna bother mentioning Phileas or Festurus or whatever the smaller version was called. Damn, that was such a stupid plot point. Anyway, Godzilla Earth is the whole fucking show here. The weird gnarled texture of his skin, the sharp leaf-like pattern of his dorsal fins, and just his sheer girth and size. I'm totally willing to jump on that. He is like over 1,000 feet tall or some shit, and that's a nice distinction to have. It's a little bit of an easy shortcut to try to make yourself famous, but someone had to do it. The only real weak spot on his design is the eyes. In the actual anime films, they seem to be almost human-like, like blue, and in other shots not so much, because sometimes they just seem to be shadowy pits, and you lose a lot of personality that way. He also barely moves or does anything, so that kinda sucks. Still though, it's something really different while still clinging to the old design ideas. I'd love to see this version reused someday, but that's not gonna happen. The Millenium Era. I'm always in 5th gear, so we're just piling on a bunch of Gojis from the Millennium series together for this one. This includes 2000, Megagarius, Mechagodzilla 1, or technically 4, whatever it is, and Tokyo SOS. Again, I know there's some design distinctions here, so really briefly, I think the original Godzilla 2000 version is kind of the weakest. I like how they made him kind of green. I like the dorsal fins a lot. Not a fan of the purple color they have sometimes because it clashes with the green and makes him look like Mysterio at first glance. One change I do appreciate is that this Goji is a bit faster and you can whip out combos, body slams, and shit during the run of the Millennium series. What I'm not a fan of is his general mouth area / structure is just cut way too deep into the back of his skull, sometimes resembling a long alligator-like snout, which, I don't know, I don't know. This is definitely going to be high up on the list if I ever do a top 10 worst Godzilla mouths video. What am I doing? Now, the Mechagodzilla Saga version kind of has the mouth thing toned back a bit, so I prefer that one. His front profile is also real and just has a nice look to it. I also dig the cool battle scar he has on his chest from Tokyo SOS. Godzilla with scars, maybe some tattoos? Wouldn't kick that out of bed. The Heisei Era. The Chun-Li of the Godzilla verse. Here we have good old Thunder Thighs himself, Heisei Era Goji. This is probably one of the most well-known versions of Godzilla. If he was loot, he'd be common. But that doesn't mean he's not special. They increased the height of Heisei Boy here considerably, and he's generally around 100 meters tall, give or take, and has a lot of destructive power. Here, and especially here. The thing about this guy is that he's built like a goddamn brick shithouse, and it's his defining feature. While you can get mixed up between a lot of the silhouettes throughout the series, Heisei is unique. I also think he has one of the best head shapes out of the entire series. It just strikes this unique mix of a fearsome monster and an intelligent protector. It's perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Burning Godzilla. I don't consider this a full new form, but merely a power-up or power-down, since it'll eventually kill him. It feels good at first, but then you explode and die. It's like eating at Chipotle. I think Heisei is so high up on this list because it's such a classic, consistent look for the character. Yeah, he's kinda slow, and aside from burning mode, he doesn't bring too much new to the table, but this is an iconic design that'll be remembered for decades to come. GMK. Let me reiterate for you all, in case you've never heard me sum this up before. In this one-off Godzilla reboot, the new origin is that the angry souls of everyone that died during the H-bombs of World War II is given a physical form in the guise of a giant monster to punish modern society for forgetting about their pain and suffering. This movie pulls no punches, and neither does this version of Godzilla. The first thing about GMK that I like is something I wish more Godzilla films did, which is mess around with his eyes. They're blank and ghost-like, giving him this really evil, merciless look. Moving on, he also has a bigger, more Tyrannosaurus-like head, which is a nice change of pace and again sets him apart from all the others. One thing GMK also excels at is wanton displays of ruthless aggression. Therefore, he has a much more threatening demeanor than ever, with a predatory-like pose when he's squaring up against another kaiju or just busting out his atomic breath, which seems much more OP than ever in this movie. So like his general body type, as he still retains some of the beef of the Heisei era, but balances that out throughout the whole design. His feet are also just really cute. They're like little kitty pee and the slashy paw claws and such. Love his feet. Overall, there's really nothing I would change here, although I will say, with such a cool design, it would have been dope if he got a new power or special move to complement the fresh new look. It's a bit disappointing that way. He has this super evil new attitude, but squanders the potential a little bit. Okay, we are getting down to the big dogs. So here we have a 3-for-1 special. First, the big dog, followed up by the big dog, and then another big dog, yeah. Like many of you, I was really freaked out / nervous when the first media came out for Shin Godzilla. Remember someone photoshopped the fuck out of this original poster and then found this? These were very tense times in the kaiju community. No one knew what the crap was going on, but then Shin Godzilla came out and is arguably the most unique and terrifying version of the Big G ever. For the uninitiated / ignorant, he keeps evolving throughout the film with 3 distinct forms, but I thought it would be a little much to have all 3 take up a slot, so the 3 Stooges are here together, performing for you. Kamata-kun is just so horrible from every angle, disturbing and pathetic, but can still mess you up. Shove a moonstone in his face though, and then we get Shinagawa-kun. This guy doesn't get much to do, but he can now walk upright, which is kinda like his first baby steps. Also, I'm really into his almost skinless-like texture and color. Smacks of a weird survival horror creature. Then, of course, we have Shin Goju as all types of, what a son of a bitch. Now, unlike a lot of the other versions, this one has new powers. Lots, in fact. So, he's like the total package of Godzilla's, right? Like the Lex Luger? Well, not quite. One thing that holds back Shin Godzilla for me, which you can see me go into great detail on in my Shin Godzilla review, is that the creature somewhat lacks a personality when compared to all of his contemporaries. Most of his body is just really stiff and mostly immobile, and now his tail will whip up a storm like a nervous cat, but his arms and head just kind of do nothing. I guess it's something of a statuesque presence, but even his previous 2 forms gave us a little something. They emoted, at least. It's a small but noticeable blemish on an otherwise immaculate incarnation of a god. Final Wars. Of all the Gojis that don't mess around, and there's lots of them, this one might be the one that doesn't mess around the most. The Final Wars version is a stone-cold badass that is always moving, always angry, and never stops fighting. He's not one for those grand, slow entrances or anything of the like. He jumps out of holes or from the ocean and just starts beating the crap out of the nearest thing. Zero wasted time. What's different between Final Wars and the other Godzillas from the Millennium Era is that the director, Ryuhei Kitamura, wanted a much more agile and lean Godzilla because he needs to rack up a huge body count and do it as fast as possible, not stopping for any reason. But he didn't change the very core of the character into something completely foreign Zilla, but rather just slim the creature down while still maintaining an imposing figure. While several past Godzillas had these cute little ear tufts, this design brings them back very prominently. Just look at them, they're so cute. You just want to pinch them.
Yeah.
The only real letdown is with all this new speed and mobility, he doesn't exactly do anything really new. He just does the old stuff, but faster. It's a common complaint I have, but within the earlier films of the Millennium series, those Gojis tended to bust out some new shit here and there. I just wish Final Wars could do the same. So, by process of elimination, what could be number 1? The cameo in Always Sunset on 3rd Street 2? No, it's a non-canon cameo, so I don't count it. Godzilla from My Hero? We're getting off track here. The Hanna-Barbera version? Okay, shut up, no. The word heresy gets thrown around a lot these days, but that is precisely what will be shouted in my general direction here, cause my favorite version of Godzilla is of the legendary variety. Look, I like the initial design from the moment I saw it. It's another textbook example of making something uniquely different, but still paying homage to what came before in the right ways. I will say that some aspects of our big 2014 boy did bug me a little bit. Yeah, his legs were a little too stumpy and tree trunk-like, and his tail tapers off into this really kind of boring little point, and it didn't feel/look all that powerful. The new 2019 film, however, has made some changes that are 100% Matt approved, and as of right now, this is my favorite design of Godzilla yet. His legs have been changed to be a bit more traditional. His tail was shortened, his back dorsal fins were increased in size, and their shape was, again, brought more in line with the classic Goji. I think overall his body was also slimmed down a bit, so I guess he's the Keto Kaiju now. Seriously though, this Godzilla feels really powerful. He uses his atomic breath in different ways and just has this, he's not too slow nor too fast. He doesn't look too silly or too evil, so certainly some amazing artists thought about his design, then thought about it again and again until it all started to come together. Let me know in the comments below and I'll see how I can disappoint you all in the future. See you next time, Kaiju Kids!